Australia Day 1972 saw the first Aboriginal embassy erected outside Parliament House.
The native title legislation must be amended.
Australia, I am sorry.
Tonight on Living Black, how Thursday Islanders are dealing with the coroner's findings over 5 people who died when the Malu Sara sank in 2005.
But I just want to see the justice for this nation's people.
South Australia dusts off an historical 19th century letter from the King of England that Indigenous people hope could change their future. And
land rights, damn rights,
Little G making waves on the hip-hop scene. Hello and welcome to Living Black. I'm Carla Grant. It's been more than 3 years since an Immigration Department boat sank in the Torres Strait, killing all 5 people on board. Last month, the Queensland coroner revealed the tragedy was totally avoidable. And locals say they've not only lost loved ones, but faith that the coroner's recommendations will be implemented to prevent another tragedy. SBS Queensland correspondent Stephen Armbruster reports from Thursday Island.
Torres Strait Islanders know nothing will ever bring back their loved ones who died when the immigration patrol boat, the Malu Sara, sank one night in October 2005. But they hope the legacy of the 5 dead, 2 local immigration officers, 2 women and a 5-year-old girl, will be that no one else meets the same fate.
Who makes decisions in this nation? Who making decisions for Commonwealth assets in this nation? I mean, 2 government officers missing with passengers. They couldn't save them. It's hard to believe.
The Queensland coroner, in a damning report in February, said they died because of the incompetence and indolence and cavalier attitude of government employees. Michael Barnes recommended disciplinary action against those responsible and a review of federal and state rescue operations, especially for the Torres Strait. He described it as a totally avoidable disaster.
We hope that his recommendations will better for us in the Torres Strait who live here and will avoid future incidents like the Malu Sara incident.
But their hopes have been shattered, as the man who was the focus of the coroner's adverse findings has so far avoided disciplinary action.
I thought it's a big joke, but not on, sort of the joke is actually again on the community.
In August 2005, then Immigration Minister Amanda Vanstone launched the Malu Sara on Thursday Island. It was one of 6 Torres Strait-based immigration boats hailed by the Howard government as a vital part of its border control policy with Papua New Guinea. But just 6 weeks later, the Malu Sara sank on a 100-kilometre crossing between Bardu and Saibai Islands. It turned out all the boats were unseaworthy in almost every way. And when the Malu Sara's captain reported it was sinking, he wasn't taken seriously.
When no help came and the engines failed and water leaked into the supposedly watertight bilge faster than it could be pumped out, it is likely that the boat capsized and soon sank. The wretched dread of a mother seeking to cling to her terrified child as they were dumped into the dark and wild sea is too terrible to contemplate.
About 7,000 people live in the region, on 17 inhabited islands, in over 35,000 square kilometres of what's considered one of Australia's most treacherous waterways. Boats are the main means of transport in the Torres Strait.
I just want to see the justice for this nation's people, to see that there's a better services provided in terms of transport, because that's one of the things the coroner's mentioned.
One of the local mayors fears a repeat of the disaster that befell the Malu Sara.
In terms of what has happened in 2005, I hate to have that occur to my people and happen to my people again.
To the relief of the families, the coroner cleared the 2 local immigration officers aboard the Malu Sara of fault over its tragic end.
It was not a case of an isolated, unavoidable accident. Rather, 5 people died as a result of a terrible, protracted chain of events that could have been stopped if one of a number of those involved in purchasing, building, operating or searching for the vessel had faithfully and diligently discharged his or her duties.
The coroner can't recommend criminal charges. He did recommend disciplinary proceedings against immigration official Gary Chaston over the procurement of the patrol boats, and State Police Sergeant Warren Flegg for his handling of the failed search and rescue effort.
They'll be hoping that the coroner's recommendations be put into action and some kind of disciplinary action at least be taken, and something of a meaningful sort. Yes, it has to be meaningful. I think the families are sceptical that disciplinary action may not be strong enough.
In fact, there is no obligation for government departments to implement any coronial recommendations, and the family's fears soon became real. Gary Chaston resigned from immigration, and the Code of Conduct investigation immediately ceased from the date of that resignation.
I tend to sit under grace and favour of God, and it's not for me to judge. Believe me, it's not for me to judge. It's up to people that's been given a responsible job to make a decision. Queensland, DPP, Department of Public Prosecution, it's up to those people.
So far, all the families have received from the Immigration Department is an apology. The coroner said it was essential federal and state agencies base a night rescue-equipped helicopter in the region for the safety of the people of the Torres Strait and those traversing it. And he also recommended a major review of Torres Strait rescue operations.
You have a standard, especially Commonwealth agencies, right across the board, a national standard, and that needs to be adhered to. Just because you work in the Torres Strait, more so.
The main agencies involved, the Immigration Department, Australian Maritime Safety Authority and Queensland Police, say they are considering the recommendations and some action had been taken. But the people of the Torres Strait want full implementation and fear that they may otherwise, once again, be left to mourn those unnecessarily lost at sea.
And the story doesn't end there. The case is still under investigation by another Commonwealth regulator, and the families intend to seek compensation. Well, last week Living Black reported on the proposed alcohol restrictions in WA's Kimberley region that would make it the toughest place in the country to buy full-strength takeaway grog. Today, the WA government announced it is going ahead with the restrictions. It means from the 30th of March, takeaway liquor above 6% alcohol in containers of more than 1 litre will be banned, as well as takeaway beer in containers over 400 mils. Halls Creek licensees have been given extra time to consider additional restrictions.